This one-pan meatball recipe uses protein-packed ground buffalo and riced cauliflower for a grain-free spin on one of my cold weather favorites. Our first move is to prepare some onions and garlic. Before you do your last onion, you'll go ahead and heat up the pan. You want a medium-high heat, and I want it to be nice and hot before I add the onion. Then you'll need 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and the onions go right in. And I'm just gonna let the onions cook for about 10 to 12 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. This will give me plenty of time to finely chop the garlic, and then we'll add it then. Okay, these are just about done. And I'm going to add the garlic and just give it a little stir so the garlic cooks but doesn't burn. Turn off the heat. Transfer half of the onions to a little bowl just to cool off. These will come in later. And the other half of the onions will go right into the mixing bowl that we'll use to make the meatballs. The meatballs will cook in this same skillet, which I really love. I'm just gonna spread these out a little bit so that the onions cool off. So you don't want to add raw meat to anything hot while we're preparing it. Let it cool off. And I'll chop up some parsley. We need about 2 tablespoons. You can experiment with other herbs too, but this meatball recipe has a bit of a Swedish flavor with some of the spices, so the parsley works really well. Parsley in, and I'll finish adding all the spices. So you need 3/4 teaspoon salt, about 1/2 teaspoon ground black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon, sort of a generous 1/4 teaspoon, allspice. And then my favorite spice of all, nutmeg. And you want about sort of another generous 1/4 teaspoon here, and just grate right in there. And then for the really fun element here is using riced cauliflower. You can find this frozen, and it stands in for what is usually breadcrumbs in a meatball recipe. It just helps with binding. And then you will add 1.5 pounds of ground buffalo. Ground buffalo is just a great lean protein option for when you're wanting to eat healthier. Now, once everything is all mixed up, you will make the meatballs and pop them right back into the skillet. So you want them to be sort of ping pong size. Once you've rolled these all up, you'll get about 30. The meatballs will go in a 425-degree oven for about 10 minutes. After you've hit that 10-minute mark, you'll give the meatballs one final flip. Make sure they're nice and evenly browned. And then you'll put the onions you reserved right over the top. You end up getting this fun onion gravy thing with this recipe. Okay, the last thing we'll do is pop the meatballs back in the oven and under the broiler for about 4 to 5 minutes. You'll want to keep a really close eye on them though, so that the onions don't burn. Perfect for a cozy dinner in or an easy party with friends. Baked buffalo meatballs.